Okay, so we just got back.
We got back.
We had a long, awkward, silent car ride.
So, trying to literally talk about anything else, which really we don't have much else to talk about.
We had plenty to talk about. But all we really wanted to talk about was this movie.
Mm-hmm. What movie do we see?
Heart Eyes.
We saw Heart Eyes, a.k.a. The Hearts Have Knives.
Heart Knives.
Mm-hmm. Let's split it up into two different segments here, because there's definitely spoilers in this movie.
We'll do spoilers later, yeah. This is the spoiler-free beginning.
We are going to do spoiler-free stuff right in the beginning. Editor Dan here is going to put in a timestamp of when we are going to go into spoilers.
Sure, that's nice of Editor Dan.
Mm-hmm. Editor Dan here. Spoilers for this movie will begin at 19 minutes and 30 seconds.
I went in rather blind to this. I knew it was coming out. I had seen murmurings on my social media feed from friends that were like, this movie is pretty good. I was like, oh, what movie? Because there wasn't a large marketing for this, or if there was, I've lived under a rock. How did you hear about the movie other than me being like, we should go see this?
I saw trailers for it before movies.
Oh, that's when I get my snacks.
Yeah, I saw a trailer for it while we were in theaters. I've seen movie posters for it. I don't know.
So I have lived under a rock, is what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
All right, great.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yes.
All I can say is this movie has no right being as good as it was.
Yeah, it was a killer of a time. With this movie, I could feel myself kind of rolling my eyes at a lot of the tropes that were happening. But there were moments in there where you get the idea that they present the tropes and then they subvert it.
We were talking about the intro.
Yes.
And not the main cast intro,
The cold open.
Cold open, yeah.
Yeah.
That was my least favorite part.
But that also falls into that trope of you need that initial kill right in the beginning. It is the Drew Barrymore getting stabbed
that
at
was
the beginning.
my big problem, is that though, I miss the days of the Drew Barrymore kill.
Mm-hmm. I was really hoping that it would be a much bigger celebrity.
Yes.
Because that was the whole idea of Drew Barrymore
Correct.
being killed, because she was the main character for so many movies, and you're like, oh, she's the main character in this, and she's gone.
Scream has done it time and time again in the opening. They even poke fun at themselves in, I think, 4.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see it enough these days, and this would have been, I wanted it to be like Shania Twain.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need it to be an A-list celebrity, or it needed to be Hugh Grant was the photographer. Just a nod, because they do so many nods to romantic comedies and horror movies throughout the film. It would have been really funny to tie in.
Yeah, the problem was that it felt so much like a setup. There was that one moment there where I thought that the girl in the beginning who gets pressed to death, I thought she said the killer's name for a second.
Oh, I missed that completely.
I don't think that she did, and maybe if there were subtitles, I would have known. But for a second, I thought that she had said the actual killer's name out loud and be like, you ruined this for me. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe we'll explore that.
Oh, no,
and then
no. I didn't get that vibe. But I know exactly what moment you're talking about, because her hand is hitting the thing. She says a word and then, you're ruining this for me.
Yes.
But I believe it's stop it or something.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Don't do this.
Yeah. And I thought she said something like, Jeff, why are you doing this to me? And I was like, oh, you know him personally. Maybe it's an ex trying to get his revenge. And I was like, okay, so maybe he's going on a murder spree with all of his exes, and maybe that's going to be the way that it goes. And no, the killer seems pretty aimless when it comes to who the targets.
Just people in love.
And the victims, yeah.
Don't be in love was the moral of said story, because it will get you killed. I spent most of the movie trying to create that. Is it somewhat a jilted lover going after people? I kept making the plot deeper than it needed to be.
I started to feel the same way as well, where it felt like there needed to be maybe a more personal connection. I thought that maybe there was more to the story. It was they just see something shiny and they kill the thing that's shiny.
It's a very good nod to 80s, 90s horror.
Mm-hmm.
It's just killing to kill.
Yeah.
Or there's no deep backstory. It's just the movies made me do it. It's the love made me do it. That's to me a very 80s, 90s horror slasher trope. The whole thing was trope after trope, but not in a like gluttonous way. I really enjoyed it.
I feel like they used it to its advantage. Like I've felt it over and over and over again. And the moment that I wanted to bring up specifically is like the meet cute trope, which started to feel kind of like a Hallmark movie, a Lifetime movie, where
it reminded me of Anyone But You, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they definitely leaned into it, but the way that they subverted it was like they order the same difficult coffee drink,
which apparently everybody else orders,
which is great. And then I love the barista who is living in the real world and be like, we're busy, get out. They go off to the side, they're talking to each other, they bump heads with each other, and I was like, that's funny, but it's also like that's a trope. And then for her to go to pick something up off the ground, come back up and give him a bloody nose. And I was like, okay, so that's how you take the trope and then you subvert it after it. And I thought that is a really good setup for like how we're going to approach the rest of the movie, where we are going to continually use these tropes over and over and over again. But then how do you subvert and just kind of tweak it just a little bit?
Yeah. Also, kudos to the sound design. Because the second thud, I was like, oh, this is... You get pretty quickly from the cold open that this is going to be a very gory, pretty gross movie.
Yep.
Which I also didn't know was coming. The second headbutt sound design, I was just like, okay. All right, this is what we're in for.
Yes. Yeah, you have the big city girl. So this does take place in Seattle. There were some things that did bug me a little bit, where if a character or something just kind of like looked around for a little bit, it would have been very obvious. So, for example, we have the first crime scene and there's a cop that comes up to the detectives and they're like, how do you know this is not the Heart Eyes killer?
Right.
And then it shows very clearly on the ground rose petals in a heart. And it's like, you were here longer than the detectives. They just arrived.
Also, the detectives were wonderful. Them being in, it's a grape presser, I guess, in the beginning.
Yep.
I kept being like, why is she's touching her phone while she's touching evidence?
Yeah, that was another thing.
But we lose that pretty quick, or at least I got invested enough that I didn't notice it as much. But I do remember throwing my hands up because I was like, why are you even in the grape presser looking for clues to prove that this is Heart Eyes when there's a heart surrounded by rose petals?
Yeah, they seem very careless about any evidence or anything that's going on.
I mean, it's Valentine's Day and a couple got killed.
Okay.
Sure. And he only kills for 24 hours. Yeah, like let's make a snap quick decision because we've got 24 hours to deal with this. Sure. Timing, as far as the sense of urgency in a movie, having a killer only kill for this 24-hour period, immediately you're in it.
Yeah. Also, the male officer, was it Hobbs or Shaw? We'll go into the Hobbs Shaw thing later.
She was Shaw.
She was Shaw. So Hobbs.
His initials, yeah.
Yeah. Like stepping in and be like, you need a man who can make decisions or something like that. And standing very close to her is like, there's so many HR violations there.
Yeah. I will say, I guess this is a spoiler. I figured out who the killer was pretty quick. That scene with him standing way too close, I was like, oh, as a woman, I've been in this position. And I went, oh. And that's where I thought they were going to run with it, which I'm kind of glad they didn't. But that happened. And then the pinging of like searching for a lover. I was like, they very easily could have gone into the jilted woman trope. And I'm glad they didn't.
Well, there was also the moment where the Detective Hobbs said, like, when he thinks that the killer is a man, and she was like, what makes you think he's a man?
Yeah. I couldn't tell if it was just me being like, aha, I figured it out, or if it was more subtle. But it was satisfying.
Let's talk about
our leads.
Our lead characters, which, according to this IMDb, they go in order of appearance. So this is very annoying.
Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding are our leads as Allie and...
Yeah, they went in order of appearance in this
stupid. No, it's not stupid. Let's go back to going in order of appearance and not just like...
Jay.
Oh, Oh, right. Duh, because JS.
Jay Simmons. So Jay and Allie are the main characters. It's the will they, won't they, but definitely they will couple.
There's the scene where they're sitting in the ambulance and they're going to go their separate ways.
Mhm.
Not the end. That female paramedic that's like, what a good story. You two kids are so cute. Which, like, she should get all of the love because
Mhm.
she stole the movie.
There's definitely some side characters in there where it felt like their role was bigger
Right.
than it needed to be.
No, it was perfectly the size that it was supposed to. It felt like something got left on the cutting room floor, which
But
is fine.
they were definitely casting for people who could definitely steal the scene in that moment.
Yes. Which I think was intentional to throw you off.
Yeah.
Every side person could be the person.
Yeah, because there is a side character who does then come back later on, and
Spoilers.
it's definitely one of those moments where you saw that character and you're just like, we lingered on that person for longer than I feel like we needed to.
You have to do that multiple times to throw off suspicion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, do you see that this is probably the killer? But I thought they were really great. There's a type of female character that is quite popular right now that is, I'm klutzy, but I'm also intelligent. I don't know how I feel about it. It really is trying to be like, but she will be the hero in the end. Like, she will sort of rescue him. She chases after him. Great. We're trying to switch the stereotype on its head. The klutzy woman, I don't care for anymore.
It definitely has, and like I said with the tropes, like it has that hallmark trope of like, she's the big city woman and she just needs to go back to her roots of wanting to be a nurse or being in medical school.
Oh,
or
I
something
didn't
like
even
that.
think about the nurse thing until now, and that makes me upset. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But the clumsy factor, we see it like, and that's what I mean by the opening.
Mhm.
Like, their meet cute really reminded me of Anyone But You, because you have the like trying to dry her pants with the hair dryer,
Mhm.
and then her being like, I will headbutt you several times. And
Yep.
of course, she's a bad shot.
Yep. Can't shoot anything.
Of course, she's gonna like awkwardly climb over the broken window.
Hilarious.
But that's the thing. In those moments, I think what is bugging me about this trope that we're currently using in film is I want to see the klutz be so klutzy. I don't want you to be pretty klutzy. I want Lucille Ball stomping on the grapes, not caring about beauty at all. Like, I want it to be rough and tumbly, and like, that's who gets the guy.
Mhm.
It's a little pretty. That's not on her. It's just sort of, that is a current trope because we're trying to be like, she's a strong woman, but also, I don't know.
There's also this trope of just like, I'm such an ugly person and no one wants me. And it's like, you are a gorgeous actor.
Right. We've thrown that out and replaced it with, I'm a klutz.
Yeah.
Then be a klutz. Be the klutziest klutz you could ever be. Throw the gun at the window and have it bounce back instead of shattering it. That would be gold.
Hilarious.
Yeah, like Commedia dell'arte, let's like steer into the skid of it.
Yeah. Or even her klutziness could lead to her actually accidentally succeeding at like distracting the killer or something like that.
In the opening, we see the really cool like little knife
Mhm.
that gets held up and has the heart. I never came back and it made me sad.
Yeah, they should have used that more.
But I wanted her to like throw it. It bounces off a wall and hits the killer in the back of the head.
Yeah, that reminds me that I recently watched another Valentine's Day movie, Love Hurts. And there's a really funny moment. This doesn't spoil anything, but there are two characters that are fighting. One of them has these like feather darts that he can expertly throw. And then another guy picks up that feather dart and tries to throw it back at him. And the feather dart just goes and just limply falls on the ground.
The hand gestures are great.
Sorry, I am on the IMDb and the director of this movie,
Josh Rubin.
Josh Rubin. So he made a cameo.
Photographic memory, man. I sat there and watched the credits.
He made a cameo in the movie.
As the first killer?
No,
Spoiler.
it was just a one-off scene. And I thought that maybe they just like cast him just because he's really funny. But he's the one that says, call 911. That's the director.
That's gold.
Yeah. So you can see right here. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
him.
What else has he done?
I know him from watching Dropout and the many appearances that he's done on Dropout, from doing Game Changer and I mean the many other shows that they do on there. So he is hilarious, and I was unaware that he actually directed this movie. So this is actually pretty great. And he also did another werewolf movie called Werewolves Within.
Oh my God, we are in that
Mm-hmm.
that time. It's nice because I had seen the name at the end and I don't know that you've done a lot, and I was excited because I'm like, if this is one of your debuts or, early ones, like way to crush it out of the gate. Did he write it too? No,
but he's done quite a few other things, which I'm surprised with. Like he did Scare Me, which I think we did see Scare Me.
We must have.
He did an episode of Adam Ruins Everything.
This is not debut, but this seems like more of a bigger...
This was a big one. So the TV series that he did before, it was with Kevin Hart, Die Hard.
Oh, yeah. You can see a lot of that influence in that, actually, now that you've said it. Tonally, I really liked it. It ended, and I went, man, I hope they make a sequel, which I haven't felt about a movie in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you do, given the ending, but this is one of those that if it came out, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'm going to go see that.
Also, the writers of this have done some movies that we really love. Christopher Landon, he did the movie Freaky.
There it is. I was like, I know that name.
And we love Freaky. He also...
Yes, big Freaky fans here.
He wrote a lot of Paranormal Activities. He didn't do the first one, but he was there for basically every sequel after that.
Because those are some of my faves.
Mm-hmm.
I love a found footage.
Mm-hmm. He didn't do the first one, but he did do Happy Death Day to You.
Yes.
Yes.
Halfway through the movie, I went, this reminds me tonally of Happy Death Day. And I'm not mad about it.
The other writer, Michael Kennedy, he also wrote Freaky.
Nice.
And It's a Wonderful Knife.
I still haven't watched it. I was going to watch it around Christmas. I have it saved in my things to watch on Hulu.
One of the third writers kind of surprised me. This is Philip Murphy. He wrote Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Okay. That makes sense. The chase scene elements and like that kind of thing. We are in a time where movies are starting to take a genre, and I think we talked about this on a different episode of the podcast, flip them on their heads. So this was clearly a rom-com as a horror movie.
Yes.
And I'm so here for that blend.
Yeah. I think with the oversaturation, especially with Hallmark movies exploding and becoming such a trope and such a formula, it is nice that you kind of took that formula and you're just like, what if we just kept the formula, but you just kind of blended in a serial killer into this?
I want more horror love stories, but comedies. It's somebody's monologue maybe, but you and I both like started giggling because it was like, I'm going to butcher it so hard. It was talking about like Love is Blind and this, and then I'm going to go up Notting Hill.
Yeah. And they just kept naming
it was
romantic
so
comedy movies.
good.
Yeah, it was The Best Friend.
Yes, my best friend, and then we're gonna go up Notting Hill. My best friend's wedding, and then we went up Notting Hill, and yes, that was great. And then it paused, and they started talking about something else, and she's like, "Is love really blind?"
Yes.
And then something about it was either like Love Island or something. I was like, "Oh, now we're in the unscripted." Yep. I adore when filmmakers like film history, and there are nods to the fact that they clearly love film history, and that was with His Girl Friday, which is the classic like black and white movie, one of very early like romantic comedies. I love a black and white movie. That was one of the parts of dialogue that I didn't necessarily love per se. Like she's like, I love a black and white, and I was like, then what is it? As someone who also loves a black and white movie and can't name what it is, tell me what it is. Like I need you to be a bigger super fan about it than I am. I liked the conversation in the van that they were having, and I liked that there was like the classic love story to it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. If you do not want anything spoiled about this movie, do not listen past this point.
Let's start going into spoiler territories.
So yeah, go see it and then turn this off, go see it.
If you haven't seen it yet,
pause,
go away.
Come back.
There was a part in the movie that like really bothered me.
Oh.
So
I don't really have a lot of notes, so this is interesting.
So the Hard Eyes Killer is supposedly like the most famous serial killer in the world.
Not in the world.
In the world of this movie.
This is the third year that there's a killer on Valentine's Day, or they think there's going to be a killer on Valentine's Day.
My point is that in the world of this movie, the Hard Eyes Killer is like the killer that everyone's on watching out for. They supposedly capture the killer when they capture Jay. Yeah.
JS.
So they arrest Jay, thinking that it's him.
Right.
And they bring him to what seems like an abandoned police station. There is no one there. The only people that are there are the two detectives who like just arrived and just the secretary, and that is it.
She's an officer. She's just watching the front desk.
Yeah.
This did not bother me at all. I thought it added to the atmosphere of the movie.
But I was like, there's no one there.
No, they caught the guy. Let's all go home.
But like everyone went home. There's no news around this. There's no like, you guys have been reporting on this for the past 3 years. There is a famous serial killer that is out there, and they caught him, and everyone's just like silent. No one.
There were people at the gardens or whatever when they caught them. There was media and stuff there. So
but no one was like, we got to follow this guy to the police station. No one's like,
I suspended disbelief.
I found it improbable that like
I'm not saying it's probable.
Yeah.
But
the other part was like, does Uber not exist in this world? Everyone gets a cab.
Again, another thing where I was like, oh, definitely the killer.
Yeah.
It really reminded me of an urban legends scream. Like, why are you running up the stairs when you should be going out the front door? In fact, there's the scene where they so cleverly, she takes off his belt and she's like, get your mind out of the gutter. And I was like, okay, we've got witty dialogue. We've got a good action sequence going on. She hooks it on the door and like ties it to a radiator. And I was like, yeah. Girl power, let's go. So what do you want to do? You want to get some takeout later?
Yeah, there was the trope. There's always this trope, and I absolutely hate it. And for whatever reason, they have to put it in every single slasher film where if they ever do this, then I'm like, you deserve to get stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the fun. Who else would we yell at? Go!
Yeah, but there was that moment, where they're just like, oh, we trapped the killer in the room. Let's lean against this very fragile door and just kind of be like, whew, okay. And like you said,
crisis averted.
Let's
planet saved.
We'll just order some Chinese. We'll just pop on a movie. Like, what do you want to do? Oh, there's a knife in the door. Ah! Like,
I did not see that coming.
Stop. And we were both gesturing to each other, just like, go, leave, do anything else, like call the police. How are you not doing anything else? It's like you lock the door and then you just have
that's it.
Object permanence, and you're just like,
roll credits.
He doesn't exist anymore.
No.
The killer doesn't exist.
Roll credits. Like we're like on to the next movie.
Yeah, apparently.
Listen, there are two things that I like to go see a horror movie with you for. One, we will quietly, wildly gesture between the two of us to like, move, go, please, yes. And the other thing that I love is close your mouth.
Close your mouth. Always close your mouth. I mean, they do address it in there.
Which I was like, oh, chef's kiss. Thank you for finally addressing it.
Yeah, and it's like, you got blood in my mouth. And throws up
on the killer, which was, again, gold.
Yeah.
And her being mad at him, that is a fun couple trope of like, what did you do? And he's like, I saved your life.
I saved you? What do you want more?
You got it in my mouth. That was great.
Yeah, but there were multiple times where gesturing to each other, we're just like, close your mouth.
Close your mouth.
Close your mouth.
To me, those are two signs of a good horror movie. I mean, they're not. You really should. I one day will want to see the movie where they do all of the right things and like it breaks my heart that they're getting killed. At this point in life, I've yet to see them make all of the right moves. Yeah.
The lingering part always gets to me. Like, and I do enjoy the scene where the two of them really get to know each other in the car. I feel like that is necessary for them to understand where each other is coming from. That's where you learn.
Right.
Yeah. But there is a murderer out there searching in all the cars, and they're just like, let's just take a little nap.
Yeah. I had the same thought when she goes back towards the killer after they're running out of the apartment. He's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "We're not together. It's fine." And I'm like, that is still a crazy person with a weapon.
Yeah.
I really wanted "we are not together" to be more of a joke.
If they both yelled it at the serial killer, I think that'd be really funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, "We're not together. We're not together." So, like, again, I had a really fun time in this movie, though.
Mm-hmm. Another part that bugged me was
Oh my God.
everyone kind of knows what the Heart Eyes Killer looks like. And there's a guy who, like, because there are those masks.
Yes.
Yeah, that people have to like scare people. But there is a guy walking around with a machete in a drive-in movie theater, and everyone's just like, yeah, okay. And then he kills the couple that's f***ing, and then everyone's like, oh, I guess we should take it seriously and just ignore the 5 other people that he killed, like, on the way in.
I really liked how they played it at first, because the one guy's like, "Oh, cool costume." I really wanted like a sick cosplay, bro, because I needed the address of the weapon. Sure, wear the mask, whatever. But sometimes cosplayers look real good.
They do.
And you can't tell the difference. And I thought there's a way to make it modern and, people would get it. But he instantly, doesn't he kill that guy?
Yeah. He like stabs him immediately.
And keeps walking. And I was like, oh no, we're still,
And
I
he
almost closed the door.
Yeah.
Stab, walk, close door, keep going.
And that guy, like, this is a couples fest, I guess.
Went by himself.
Yeah. And he was the lone person. He didn't kill, or the killer didn't kill the couple, just killed the one guy. And I don't know, his partner should have come in and be like, oh my God, he's dead. Everyone get out. No.
No, he was the single dude at the, that's what my brain was like. Oh, he's the lone wolf at this Valentine's Day
He's
thing.
singling and mingling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for another single lady. I will say, they make a joke at one point. Not even a joke. They do say he only kills people if they're straight.
Yeah.
And then did avoid
He avoided the lesbian couple.
The lesbian couple.
Mhm.
So that was an interesting choice.
Yeah. I was wondering if there was going to be any gay representation in this. And there was. But at first, when they were like in the couples festival or whatever that was, it was like straight couple, straight couple, straight couple. And then I saw a guy and a guy, and I was like, okay, we're okay.
Right.
We're okay.
Yeah. There was some. And I did think that scene of dragging the knife along the windshield went on for a really long time, where I was like, I get the point you're trying to make. I don't get it fully.
Yeah.
I appreciate the representation, and we'll never address it again.
No.
They'll address it in the sequel.
Yes.
Like more equality in the sequel.
Mm-hmm. So let's go into the big reveal.
Hobbs and Shaw are the killer. I'm just kidding.
We didn't bring that up. We should have brought it up earlier, but the detectives do say their name, and then you in the theater out loud said like, Hobbs and Shaw, like the movie? And then sure enough, it was like they mirrored exactly what you said on the screen. They're like, Hobbs and Shaw, like the movie?
When I figure something out, I'm terrible at keeping it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, oh man, like that's the killer. I'm getting a lot better. But I figured that one out real quick and was like,
Yeah.
it did echo.
Amber and I have this thing wherever we watch any movies or TV shows, and she jokingly says some response, and then the character says the exact response that they said, and I turn to her and I go, when did you write this?
But it was great because I know Jordana's in Fast and the Furious.
Yes.
You said he was too?
I am not sure. I definitely recognized Jordana, and I thought it was really funny that they made a Fast and Furious joke.
That she was the one that had the name.
Mm-hmm. No, he wasn't. But,
okay.
Oh my God, I cannot believe that I did not recognize him. Have you seen Idle Hands?
Mm-mm.
Scrap that then.
Okay.
First Final Destination.
I've seen that.
He's the main character in the first Final Destination movie.
No way!
Mm-hmm.
Shut the front door.
He's also Stan in the Eminem
again.
Music video for Stan. Okay.
I didn't get into Eminem till later.
All right. He is the alive Casper.
Oh.
You see that like hair part, and you're just like, yeah.
Ladies love a 90s middle part.
Mm-hmm.
He's a live Casper.
Yeah. So that's who Hobbs was.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Hobbs and Shaw were great. I was kind of sad when he got killed. I was like, I wanted more of them.
Mm-hmm.
This was a movie that we left and I was like, oh, it's over. It felt really quick. I don't know what the runtime was, but
it's a very short movie, like hour and a half.
Oh, we're back to the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
We need more of those.
Yeah. The reveal that I really loved, aside from Shaw, Jordana being the killer.
That was the one I solved right away.
Mm-hmm. But the IT guy was really funny. And that was the guy where they lingered on him for so long, where you just kind of like tilt your head and you're just like, what's going on here? What's happening? Why are we on this guy for so long? And then lights go out and I was like, there's something about that guy. And then I love when they brought it back because like as an audience, like you immediately recognize him. But the fact that Allie is just like, who are you? And he's like, the IT guy.
Mm-hmm.
We've met. We talked.
I asked you to get coffee
Yeah.
like 2 hours ago.
And she's like, I don't.
Again, this is why I thought they were going to go with Jilted,
Mm-hmm.
which, again, glad they didn't.
Yeah.
I like that they were just like, that's our kink, basically. And
Yeah. It's like, we saw you, we were together. And that's the moment when I wanted both of them to yell. It's like, we are not a couple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. I needed that joke to be bigger.
Mm-hmm. And then there is Chekhov's straw.
Yes. Chekhov's environmentally friendly straw.
Yes. Which I do love the joke that they're just like, yeah, save the world with a reusable straw in a cup that has more plastic than that straw.
I love it. Was a really smart script.
Yes, it was.
You and I always play the is this Chekhov's gun kind of situation. And I will say the straw kept coming up and they did a great job of bringing it up enough and letting it go so that when it came back, it was real rewarding.
It was really rewarding because for a moment I was almost certain that the movie was going to end after they killed the first killer at the drive-in movie theater. And then I figure, oh, either he's not dead for magical reasons or there was more than one killer and that's going to be like the tag for the sequel.
Right.
And I was like, they didn't use the straw at all. And then they kept going with it. Turns out there's a secret fourth act of the movie. And then we got Chekhov's straw stabbed in the face.
See, when Jordana showed up, I was like, oh, we're not done.
Mm-mm.
Like I knew that there was going to be that chunk. Yeah. She's great to watch on screen and to watch her be the twisted sort of killer.
It was great. You could definitely tell that she really like soaked up the role. It was such a juicy character to be like, to kind of be on the like good guy side and then to even with the dynamic, like the other trope was like you have good cop, bad cop. And then she's
takes the jacket off and it's just us.
Yeah. Do you want some water, some coffee? And I was like, oh, I've seen this in so many Law and Order, many Law and Order episodes. And I was like, oh, she's like really leaning into it and then how are they going to subvert that?
I really enjoyed her dynamic with the poor IT guy who I don't even know his name. When he was like, we were a throuple and she's like, no, he was a fan.
David.
Mm-hmm. She says, no, he was a fan.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, she's just the mastermind behind all of it.
Yep. And then we have that like Saw moment where you just like flash back to all the parts of the movie. It's like, oh, she's flipping through like dating apps and be like, ooh, who's going to be like the next like third wheel to like go out and do their bidding. And it's like, I would have to look at this later, but I'm hoping that when she pointed out the firefighter with the dog, I'm hoping that was the killer at the movie theater or the drive-in movie theater.
I hope so too, now that you've said it. I don't know that it was because you see it so quickly.
It is.
It's a movie that's fun to watch again.
Yes.
Anytime you watch a mystery movie or like a, who's the killer kind of thing, to watch it knowing what you know now. Brilliant.
It's that Sixth Sense thing where once you know that Bruce Willis is dead, it would be really fun to go through the movie again to be like,
spoilers.
Oh, there's the clue. There's the clue. There's the clue. Right. We're in spoiler land right now.
I meant for the other one.
You had time.
I want to talk about the end credit for a hot second.
Okay.
Or I guess mid-credit.
There's a trope in Save the Cat of like opening image, closing image.
I understand that trope from a story perspective. I think we've played it out a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
I now enjoy when that trope is twisted on its head. This was that moment where it started and I went, oh man, I get what we're doing, but I don't really need it. I thought what it was going to be was the campaign they put together for the like diamond company. It was just like a little stinger of that.
Yeah.
It is not what it was. So I have a lot of questions about. Also, by the time we got to the credits, I immediately was like, I want a sequel. I want to have a cocktail and watch the sequel to this next Valentine's Day, and I am so in.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that.
Other than like another person just dresses up as that serial killer.
Which is totally fine. Like Scream has done it plenty. Like you could have one, like that's where you bring the fireman back, right? Like he actually went on a date with her and he really liked her, and you know, she told him all this stuff and that's actually what got him going. So now he's going to continue her legacy or whatever. Sure. But the friend was filming their proposal, but had the vocoder with the voice. And everyone just was like, ha, 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 ha.
Also, how does she know about that?
Rest my case.
Yeah.
I rest my case. So the friend, jilted from being the third wheel her whole life, has to be the killer in the second one. She meets the fireman, and together,
Meow spree.
Meowdo in San Diego.
Ooh, I want to bring up another thing that bothered me. Because you brought up the
Good cop, bad cop.
You brought up the ad campaign.
Yes.
And when they showed the ad campaign, it showed like
It was really pretty.
It showed like couples dying, and everyone in the comments is
They're
just like
very strategic, like story or movie. Like there's Titanic, there's Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
There's one more, but
Bonnie and Clyde.
yes.
So they showed that, and everyone in the comments is like, this is in poor taste. Like, these people get murdered and stuff like that. And we're like, those are fictional characters. And I'm like, that's,
Bonnie
you know
and Clyde are
what?
technically
That's
good.
fine. You know, if you're going to pull from like fictional stories and do that, like fictional deaths, fine, sure. That's okay. And I do love how they do the blood with like the ribbons coming out.
It was a beaut. I was like, I don't know how this is a diamond commercial,
Yeah.
but it's pretty.
Yeah, I really liked the commercial for what it was.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't think like what the comments were saying were just like, man, this person needs to be doxxed. And I was like, okay, that's too
I
far.
think that was more of a commentary of how the internet just is now.
It is.
You can very easily upset someone.
And I think the way that would have made it more believable is if you took actual murder scenes from like real life. So if you emulated like what Jeffrey Dahmer did, and it's like, that's in poor taste. Like, yes, that you should not have done. That is not okay. But if you take scenes from a movie, that's fair game. It's fictional. It's fine. Right. Although Bonnie and Clyde
is real.
Okay.
The car to Bonnie and Clyde is in Prim, Nevada. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
But as far as like the Titanic death scene, be like, that's okay. Sure.
I really wanted, like, you should have let him fit on the door to be one of the guys.
So I didn't think it merited the backlash that it was supposedly bringing this company.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Some things today don't. Some things today do.
That's it.
I want more of Hard Eyes, like just leaving. The killer had the cool like night vision heart eyes.
Yeah.
And I loved how they did the intro where they like the cold open ends and we use his eyes in like pitch black to transfer into the whole movie.
Yeah.
That was really nice. It's a really cool mask.
We're going to see a lot of them
At least
in
one
Halloween
costume. Yeah. Maybe a maze at Horror Nights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Put this out.
Imagine going through the vineyard processing plant.
You
so
go through
good.
the vineyard, you go through the botanical gardens, you have the carousel music.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You have the drive-in movie theater. You have the police station. Like there are just so many set pieces that like perfectly set it up.
Yeah, visually, and like I said, the sound design was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm just noticing more sound design in movies But yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we want to say on this?
Now let's rate it.
Okay.
You
So
go first.
I will give this movie
Are we doing like 1 to 10? A to F?
8 heart eyes
Oh,
out of
clever.
10.
Clever. I'm going to give it 9 hard eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Only because I want more.
Yes. Obviously, I want more. There were just some things that bugged me about the movie, but overall, it doesn't detract from like how great the movie was as a whole.
No, and the cool thing about a 90s slasher fic, as opposed to the more subversive horror that we've been getting, is you can almost distance yourself from it a little more. It does just become sort of a romp of a time, and you forgive a lot more cinema sins if you are not in it for like the depth.
Yeah. You can definitely tell that even, like I said, the subverting of the tropes, they are able to kind of poke fun at the thing that they're kind of relying on as a crutch.
Yeah. The running to the airport, the music swelling.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is great.
It was great.
Cool.
All right.
Until next time.
Until next time, go watch The Eyes of Hearts.
Hard eyes.
The hearts have knives.
Oh, God. It's just called hard eyes.
Yep. And if you want to support what we do, we have our Patreon. That is patreon.com/How Did This Not Get Made podcast. You can check out all of the episodes of our podcast where we dive into movies, TV shows, and video games that did not get made. If you can't support us on our Patreon, there are many other ways that you can do so. You can rate and review the show. You can follow us on our social medias. That is at How Did This Not Get Made for both TikTok and Instagram. And we are on Blue Sky at HDTNGM. And that'll do it for our movie review on...
How are you not watching this? I'm just going to keep using it. I like it. It doesn't bug me.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.